very good evening. You're watching News at 6 on Rajya Sabha TV. I'm Tina Jha. Let's begin with the headlines. Palestine recalls its ambassador in Pakistan for sharing the stage with 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks mastermind Hafiz Saeed. Expresses deep regrets over the incident after India calls his behavior unacceptable. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu reminds political parties of their responsibility in ensuring smooth functioning of Parliament, tells them that legislatures are not a platform for scoring political brownie points. Action against illegal constructions in Mumbai continues a day after major fire in City Park claims 14 lives. Municipal Corporation says it will audit major eateries ahead of New Year's Eve. And Central Board of Film Certification tells director Sanjay Leela Bhansali to change his film's title to Padmavati, clears its release with some modifications and disclaimers. The top story this evening: Palestine has decided to recall its ambassador to Pakistan, Walid Abu Ali, after a video of him sharing the stage with Dawa chief Hafiz Saeed surfaced. The action comes hours after India strongly conveyed to Palestine that Walid Abu Ali's association with terrorist Hafiz Saeed is unacceptable. Hafiz Saeed is a terrorist proscribed by the United Nations and is also the mastermind of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack. The concerns were conveyed both in New Delhi to the Palestinian ambassador and in Ramallah to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Expatriate State of Palestine. The Palestinian side had conveyed deep regrets over the incident, assuring the Indian government that they are taking serious cognizance of their ambassador's presence at the event. It was also conveyed that Palestine highly values its relationship with India and stands with us in the war against terrorism and will not engage with those who commit acts of terror against India. And for more details on the story, we are joined by our correspondent Akhilesh Suman. Akhilesh, a very good evening, but indeed very shocking turn of events for India, isn't it? Because just days after India stands with Palestine at the United Nations against Israel on the Jerusalem issue, this is what the Palestinian ambassador does to India, shares the dais with a terrorist who is accused, in fact, is a mastermind of Mumbai terror attack.
Yes, this was a big question in Indian whole foreign policy establishment, that whether this ambassador is conniving with the rogue elements in Pakistan. So India told Palestinian Authority in very clear terms that this will not be tolerated in any situation. In any case, if the ambassador has gone to meet Hafiz Saeed and he has shared a stage with Hafiz Saeed and he has talked to him and he is having good relations with Hafiz Saeed, it is not acceptable.
Right.
So I think Palestinian Authority has taken it very seriously. They investigated it and they found that Palestinian ambassador in Pakistan has gone there on his own wish, and there was no actually direction from the Palestinian Authority in Ramallah. So on this situation, we have got information very recently that Palestinian ambassador in Pakistan will be recalled very soon. The decision has been taken, and this information has been shared to us by the Palestinian ambassador in India. So I think that this is the whole turn the whole situation has taken, and India, I think, has conveyed its very strong sense of disappointment with Palestinian, this state of mindset among the ambassadors.
Right, Akhilesh, but you know, the manner in which the incident has occurred, and especially considering that this event was not a Pakistan government event, it was a private event where the Palestinian ambassador was seen sharing stage with Hafiz Saeed. So events like these, do you think, are going to affect in any way India's stand regarding Palestine?
No, India's stand regarding Pakistan cannot be based on this one incident. But had this incident been supported by the Palestinian Authority, and had the Palestinian ambassador been be visiting there on the wish of the Palestinian Authority, then it could have been very serious matter, and then it could have forced us to change our policy towards Palestinian Authority. our policy towards Palestinian people is very different than the policy towards Palestinian Authority or Hamas or any organization. So Indian government has always supported and may always support the Palestinian people's right for having a sovereign state. But that doesn't mean that Palestinian Authority, if it comes at loggerheads with Indian government, India will change its stance because of that. So it is a question whether a Palestinian Authority is in semblance and is in unity with the government of India on the question of terrorism or not. And it will be very interesting to see in coming days that what type of clear reaction is coming from Palestinian Authority and especially from Palestinian President Mohammed Abbas. Because the Palestinian ambassador in India had also told very recently to our own Rajya Sabha TV channel that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be visiting Palestine very soon. So now it will depend on the whole clarification by the Palestinian Authority in coming days about this whole incident.
All right, and if not, the issue, if not handled carefully, the matter might be also escalated when the Prime Minister visits Palestine. All right, moving on with the bulletin now. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has called the effective functioning of Parliament and Legislature as the best way to ensure peace, progress and prosperity in the country. He also reminded political parties that they have a greater responsibility in ensuring the successful functioning of Parliament and seeing to it ensure that it does not become a platform for scoring political brownie points. In the backdrop of criticism from various quarters, including the parliamentary fraternity, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu on Saturday expressed concern over the functioning of Parliament. Addressing a seminar on parliamentary democracy to mark 187 years of Calcutta Chamber of Commerce, the Vice President said over the years, Parliament's legislative business and the number of hours it devotes to debate crucial issues have come down.
Urban-rural divide is there, population problems are there, women's problems are there, agriculture labor's problems are there, you have borders problems. All these things should be discussed and there should be an enlightened debate at the end of the day so that the government gets a proper guidance. There is no alternative but to ensure that Parliament functions in an effective and responsive manner to further peace, progress and prosperity in the country.
The Vice President said disruptions in Parliament are a matter of great concern. He said with political parties failing to control their members, debates and discussions are these days overshadowed by confrontations.
If the role models themselves do not behave as per expectation, then there will be depression in the society. People will be disappointed, which is not good for a parliamentary democracy. So there has to be accountability, there has to be transparency. Both things are necessary for success of any parliamentary democracy. To meet the ever-increasing expectations from Parliament, and I say Parliament, Legislature also, it needs constantly review its structural, functional requirements as also the entire gamut of its operational procedures and strengthen the resources at its disposal.
The Vice President also complimented the industry for its contributions in the field of education and health as part of corporate social responsibility.
If everybody follows law, if everybody follows rules, if everybody do their duty, then you really have a good governance. It's not simply governmental effort alone of bringing good governance. Mere development alone will not suffice. You can go for a massive hospital.
It was the Vice President's first visit to West Bengal. On his arrival, he was received by West Bengal Governor Keshri Nath Tripathi and State Minister Firhad Hakim. The Vice President later inspected the Guard of Honour at the airport. Rajkamal Rao's report for Rajya Sabha TV. And President Ramnath Kovind has said there is a need to take up the National Mental Health Programme as a national mission. He said this while addressing the 22nd convocation of the National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences in Bengaluru today. He also added that the National Mental Health Survey is a wake-up call.
Advocacy and awareness are important components of the Government of India's National Mental Health Programme. This program is building 23 centres of excellence in the field of mental health. In parallel, the District Mental Health Program has already covered 517 of the approximately 650 districts in India. The National Mental Health Survey is a wake-up call. It has focused attention on the more chronic and disabling mental health problems. With the National Mental Health Policy and the Mental Health Care Act now in place, the stage is set for an earnest and broad-based effort. It is important to set ambitious but achievable targets and make sure we reach them within a tight deadline. In 2022, India will be celebrating its 75th anniversary of independence. We need to ensure that by then, at least those who are suffering from severe mental disorders have been diagnosed and have access to treatment facilities. Let us take this up as a national mission.
And news now from Gujarat, where Deputy Chief Minister Nitin Patel is reportedly miffed with the portfolios allotted to him. It's been several days since his swearing in, but Patel is yet to take charge of departments allocated to him. News reports say that he has expressed displeasure to the party leadership over the portfolios given to him. In the previous government, Patel handled portfolios like finance and urban development. This time, he has been given charge of departments like road and building, health, medical education, Narmada, Kabsar and the capital project. The finance portfolio this time around has gone to Saurabh Patel, while Chief Minister Vijay Rupani has kept the urban development ministry with himself. Asked by media persons, Vijay Rupani skirted the question over Nitin Patel's unhappiness. Several other state BJP leaders queued up at Nitin Patel's residence to pacify him.
22 साल से मैं उसके साथ शासन में रहा हूँ, उसकी कार्यशक्ति मैंने देखी है और ये कार्यशक्ति की वजह से उसको डिप्टी सीएम का पद दिया है। उसकी कैपेसिटी देखकर मोदी मंडल ने इसको डिप्टी सीएम का पद दिया है, लेकिन इस टाइम जब पद के लिए सोच रहे थे और जब विभाग की डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हो रही थी तब उसको नाराज हुए, उसके पसंद के विभाग उसको नहीं मिले। इट वॉज वेरी रेशनल, इसलिए उसने प्रतिकार थोड़ा किया है। मैं उसको समझाने के लिए आया था। समझेगा, पार्टी सोचेगी कि नितिन भाई को इसका पसंदगी के विभाग दे ऐसा मैं चाहता हूँ।
And reacting to the development, Patidar leader Hardik Patel said that Nitin Patel should leave the BJP and join the Congress, where he might get a good position. Speaking to the media, Hardik said if Nitin Patel resigned from the BJP along with 10 MLAs, the Congress would readily support him. Listen in.
વિનંતી કરવી કે જો આપનું માન સન્માન ત્યાં ન જળવાતું હોય તો અમારી સાથે આવીને લડો, આપણે બધા સાથે મળીને અહંકારીઓ સામે લડીએ। નીતિનભાઈએ ખૂબ મહેનત કરી છે, ભાજપને ઊભી કરવામાં પણ ખૂબ મહેનત કરી છે, પણ આજે જ્યારે એમનો દુરાગર ત્યાં કરવામાં આવી રહ્યો છે, ખોટી વાત છે। અમે ખૂબ મહેનત કરી છે ને ગુજરાતમાં એક સાચું સુશાસન આવે એના માટેના પ્રયાસો કરી રહ્યા છીએ।
And on to Himachal Pradesh now, where portfolio allocations have taken place in the newly formed cabinet. Chief Minister Jairam Thakur has kept the key home and finance departments with himself. Besides home and finance, the Chief Minister will also look after the general administration, planning and personnel department and all other departments not allotted to any minister. First-time MLA Suresh Bhardwaj has been given education, parliamentary affairs and law portfolios. The lone woman minister Sarveen Chaudhary has been allocated urban development, town and country planning and housing departments. And coming back to Delhi, Lieutenant Governor Anil Baijal approved the Delhi government's proposal to bear the treatment expenses at private hospitals or victims of motor accidents, fire and acid attacks. Baijal also stressed that for a robust healthcare system, government institutions also need to be strengthened, as the healthcare system cannot be left entirely in the hands of private sector. He added that complete transparency and relevant procedures should be followed strictly while impaneling private hospitals. He further said a mechanism must be evolved to ensure that unnecessary tests are not prescribed in collusion with private medical centres. The Lieutenant Governor also noted that the focus of these schemes appear to be on outsourcing, and there is no mention about any action plan to strengthen the diagnostic infrastructure in the government institutions. A day after 14 lives were lost in a devastating blaze at a Mumbai pub, the police today issued a lookout notice against its two co-owners. The BMC also lodged a complaint against Mojo Pub and One Above restaurant in the case under the Maharashtra Regional Town Planning Violation Act. The civic body has also directed its officials to ensure that safety norms are followed in restaurants and bars thronged by people on New Year's Eve. The BMC also began a crackdown on eateries and started raising unauthorized construction. On Friday, 5 BMC officials were suspended and an assistant commissioner was also transferred following the tragedy. The police also registered a case against 3 restaurant owners.
पहली बार नहीं कार्रवाई हुई, इसकी पहले भी हुई है और जो घटना हुई है उसका इन्वेस्टिगेशन चालू है. अभी जिन्होंने वायलेशन किया है उनके खिलाफ हम कार्रवाई कर रहे हैं.
This is an unfortunate happening, and I think each one of us, each and every citizen of India who's learned about it is feeling bereaved with the loss of innocent lives and an avoidable tragedy. And therefore, I'm sure the concerned authorities will go into the reasons which led to this and also make sure that such a thing does not happen again, not only in Mumbai, but in any other part of the country as well, because this is a rapidly growing country, particularly the urban, the semi-urban areas and rapidly expanding metros.
The Central Board of Film Certification has decided to give Sanjay Leela Bhansali's film Padmavati a UA certificate. The board has also suggested the director to change the film's title to Padmavat. Following a meeting of their examining committee on the 28th of December, the board decided to clear the film's release along with some modifications and disclaimers, especially one regarding not glorifying the outlawed practice of sati. The meeting took place in the presence of CBFC Chairman Prasoon Joshi and was attended by regular examining committee members along with other censor board officials. Considering the concerns around the film, the CBFC also appointed a special panel to add perspective to the final decision of the censor board's official committee. The certificate, as per procedure, will be issued once the required modifications are carried out and final material is submitted. The period drama got stuck in controversy after various Rajput groups alleged that the film distorts history. The claim was repeatedly denied by the film's director. However, as protests spread across various states, the film's first December release was deferred as it also did not have a censor clearance. Ahead of the general budget next year, India's policy makers are focused on the agriculture sector. With the government setting targets to double farmers' incomes over the next few years, economists are urging the government to increase public investment in agriculture sector through budgetary support. The upcoming general budget is likely to see significant measures to boost the agriculture sector. These measures will come on the heels of big policy interventions, including a push to finish long-stock irrigated projects, initiatives like an expanded crop insurance scheme, soil health cards, and a renewed thrust on schemes to supplement farmer incomes.
Last 3 years has not been very good for agriculture, excepting the year 2016-17. The average growth rate is less than 1%. In first year, in 2015-16, it was negative minus. After that, it was only 0.2%.
A national sample survey between January and December 2013 estimated the average income of an agricultural household at 6,426 rupees per month. Only 60% of this, or nearly 3,900 rupees, is earned through agricultural activities, while 30% is earned through sundry work as labourers. Nearly all of this money, or over 6,200 rupees, is spent, leaving no scope for saving, which has left over half or nearly 9 crore rural households in severe debt.
A rate at which the cost of cultivation is going up, if the remunerative or the prices of agricultural commodities do not rise in the same proportion, then the farmer's income or farmer's margin gets squeezed.
Tackling rural distress has always been a huge challenge for successive governments. The BJP's dip in electoral performance in the rural areas of Gujarat is partly attributed to this. Compared to the 2012 election, out of the 124 rural seats in Gujarat, the party won 51, suffering a loss of 12 seats. On the other hand, the opposition Congress won 67 seats against 55 it had in the last election. With 8 state elections coming up in 2018, the general budget will be a significant opportunity for the BJP government to address the issue. Krishnan Tripathi report for Rajya Sabha TV. And moving on to some international news now, first from Iran, where there have been anti-government protests in several major cities. Large numbers of people turned out in Rasht in the north and Kermanshah in the west, with smaller protests in Isfahan, Hamadan and elsewhere. The demonstrations began on Thursday in the northeastern city of Mashhad. People there took to the streets to express anger at the government over high prices. 52 people were then arrested. However, widespread protests across cities have become a general outcry against clerical rule and government policies. A small number of people were arrested in capital Tehran as well. Many protesters voiced anger against President Hassan Rouhani, who was elected for a second term in May. The protests represent the most serious and widespread expression of public discontent in Iran since mass protests in 2009 that followed a disputed election. Meanwhile, the United States has come out in support of Iranian protesters demonstrating against their government. The US State Department condemned the arrest and urged all nations to publicly support the Iranian people and their demands for basic rights and an end to corruption. And at a time when China and the United States are sparring over North Korea, Pyongyang today announced that it will never give up its nuclear weapons as long as the United States and its allies continue their blackmail and war drills at its doorstep. The North's official Korean Central News Agency, which reviewed the country's major nuclear weapons and missile tests this year, said in a report that North Korea had taken steps to strengthen self-defense and preemptive attacks with nuclear force. North Korea conducted its most powerful nuclear test to date in September and launched 3 intercontinental ballistic missiles into the sea in July and November, indicating it's closer than ever to gaining a nuclear arsenal that could viably target the mainland United States. The aggressive tests have led to more international sanctions and pressure on North Korea amid concerns that the window for stopping or rolling back its nuclear program is closing rapidly. And time for all the updates from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Ace Indian shooter Jeetu Rai won the gold medal in the men's 50-meter pistol event at the 61st National Shooting Championships in Thiruvananthapuram. Rai set a new record of 233 in the finals of the event, getting the better of Navy man Omkar Singh, who shot 224 in the finals. Jai Singh secured a bronze with an effort of 198.4, while Arjun Singh Cheema of Punjab won the junior men's 50-meter pistol event. The 4th Ashes Test match between Australia and England ended in a draw. Australian captain Steve Smith scored his 3rd century of the series to guide the host to safety. Smith scored an unbeaten 102 runs, while Michelle Marsh was knocked out on 29. Australia scored 263 for the loss of 4 wickets, with a 99-run lead over England before the captains agreed to end the proceedings. For England, James Anderson, Stuart Broad, Chris Woke and Joe Root picked a wicket each. New Zealand won the first of the 3 2020 match against West Indies. The Kiwis defeated the Caribbean by 47 runs. Batting first, the Kiwis scored 187 for 7 in their 20 overs, with Glenn Phillips and Colin Munro scoring half-centuries. Phillips scored 55 runs, while Munro scored 53. In reply to New Zealand's 187 runs, the Caribbean managed to put 140 runs on the board and were all out in the 19th over. British tennis player Andy Murray made a shaky return to the court, losing 6-2 to Spain's Roberto Bautista Agut in a one-set exhibition game at the World Tennis Championship in Abu Dhabi. Murray was called in to play after former world number 1 Novak Djokovic withdrew from the match with the elbow problem. Murray has been out of competitive action for 6 months due to an ongoing hip problem, but was in Abu Dhabi as part of his rehabilitation. The US team of Coco Vanweg and Jack Stork won their opening tie against Russia's Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova and Karen Khachanov at the Hopman Cup in Perth. World number 8 Jack Stork defeated Khachanov 6-4, 1-6, 6-3, while Vanweg comfortably beat Pavlyuchenkova 6-3, 6-3 to give the US both singles rubbers. The Russians made a comeback in the mixed doubles and won it 3-4, 4-1, 4-2. Well, the 2018 edition of the Harbin International Ice and Snow Sculpture Festival, the world's largest of its kind, has attracted many tourists with its intricate frozen works of art. Many visitors from different countries have come to see the various sculptures lit up with LED lights. We leave you with these visuals from Harbin, China. Thanks for your time.